This is an instructional video on how to create an address locator for the purposes of examining addresses for address range developing purposes. As you can see, I have a very simple ArcGIS project open. I have a roads.shp. This is a roads feature class. They're the same data set, but one's in a shapefile, one's in a feature class. Building address locators uses the same, you do it the same way. I also have some parcels in here and some imagery. The first thing that we're going to do is open up catalog in our ArcGIS, and we do that right here. This is the catalog button. Once you click this, the catalog button should appear on the right side of your ArcMap. From here, we want to go into our folder connections. Double click this, you'll see that I have a series of folder connections up. If you don't have any folder connections when you open up your catalog, you use the connected folder button. We'll just click on that quickly to show you. And from here, we can navigate to this PC. And what I would do is generally just point it right to my data folder. I'll do that quickly. We'll just hit OK. And as you can see, I've got a folder connection right here for my D drive. This is where all my GIS data is located. And you'll want to do the same for yours. If we open up our D drive, we can navigate down to where the information we want to build a locator for is located. In this case, it is in geocoding database.gdb, and here is also my road shapefile. If you have any confusion as to where your data is, all you have to do is scroll back over in your table of contents, double click on the data set that you want to build a locator file for, and click on the source tab right here. This is going to show you where the source is. As you can see, this is where my data is. Work, GIS, geocoding video, roads.shp. As long as we know where that is, now we can navigate to it here. Once we get to this portion, what we want to do is highlight the folder where the data is being stored. Right click on it, scroll down to New, and then scroll all the way down to Address Locator. When you do that, this is going to pop up your address locator creator walkthrough. One more thing that I want to do before I get started in this, I want to open the attribute table for our roads. Another little tidbit for you: if you have a hard time seeing your table, hit your control key, hold it down, and scroll your mouse up, and it will make all of your information in the table bigger. You can scroll down to make it smaller and up to make it bigger. This is a handy thing for people that are getting older, like me. Okay, when you are creating an address locator, there are 5 or so important fields you need to be aware of and where they are and what they're called. We are looking for pre-direction, street name, street type, suffix direction, sometimes called post direction, and also a lot of times they will include something called pre-type. These are important. We also need to know the left from, the left to, the right from, and the right to. And then finally, we are going to need to give it a location for our zip code and or community. There's usually a zip left, a zip right, a community left, and a community right. All of these are in there in my data set. They're usually in the other data sets you're getting. You don't necessarily need to have them all. It's helpful to have them all if they're provided. But you can get by with the bare minimums. The most important thing is you go in and look at your table, see which data sets or which fields are there, and which ones they are and what they're named. So when I open this up and look at it, we can see we have a pre-direction, a street name, a street type, suffix direction. Here's our full name. We have a zip left, a zip right. We have community left, community right. And then we also have our left from, left to, right from, and right to. One thing you will notice if you've been paying attention is there is no pre-type in here. So that means we may want to keep looking. Now, one of the things in my data set that differ from quite a few others is I have something called Z pre-type and Z street name. and these are developed for my own purposes. Just one of those things you need to be aware of when you're doing the address locator is what data does it consist of. You should know what's going on as well as you can. So in this case, you can see that there's a Z street type and a Z street name in here. These are the ones we're going to use instead of just our regular street name. So when we do this, once we have a familiarity for the fields and what they're called, and you can leave your table up so you can look at them while you're creating this. Right-click in the geocoding video. We'll scroll down and do it again. New address locator. This is going to give us our address locator pop-up. And from here, we click on this folder button right to the right under address locator style. There's only one that I use, and for the purposes of this video and for everything that we do at First District, this is what we're going to use. US address, dual ranges. Hit OK. This will populate that field. Now the next thing, under reference data, we can click this drop down, and you can see that we have a few different options in here. I'm just going to use roads.shp for the shapefile. And we'll click on this, and you'll see that this shows up in the reference table. Now, if your field names are somewhat standardized, it is going to go in and try to populate as many of those that it knows as it can. So we'll go through these quickly. They want the feature ID, which is fine. We can see that from left to left, from right and to right are all populated already, and these are done correctly. You can see that there's a right parity and a left parity. We're not going to get too excited about that. That's not important. It's something that can be in there. Doesn't necessarily need to be for it to work. Full street name is in there. We have that under full name. You can see that's right here. Keep scrolling down. Prefix direction is here. It did not find a prefix type because my prefix type is a little odd. It also has street name, street type, and suffix direction. These are normally fine. But in my case, I'm going to change this to Z pretype and Z street name. As we scroll down a little farther, you can see that they have left city or place is not populated. We can go in and do that. We can go to, well, this is looking kind of odd, but I'm putting in community left and community right here. And I know that looks a little weird here. If we look in my stuff, you can see that the aliases are community left and community right. This is taking the actual community values. Just look for community left and community right, or city left, city right. And then as we scroll down a little further, you can see that left zip code is in here, right zip code is in here as well. And that looks pretty good. Now, under address, output address locator, you can see that it's decode work GIS decoding video, and it's giving me a name. What you can do is you can open up this, navigate to where you want to. I'm going to navigate right back to where I was. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it just Coddington Roads Locator. Hit save. And I'm going to hit OK. That's going to run for a little bit, and we'll just keep an eye over here in our list. And once that locator is made, we should get one in our folder. And we do. Here is our Coddington Roads locator. One more thing that we will do with the locator before we decide to add this to our project is we'll right-click and go down to Properties. This is important because sometimes the locators get very finicky, so you want to lower the geocoding options on them so that they'll give us locates even when our data isn't wonderful. Change your minimum match score to 50. Change your minimum candidate score to 50. Change your spelling sensitivity to 50. Under side offset, I go with that. 50 as well. Change your side offset units to 50 feet. And my end offset, I change that to feet as well. I go about 30 feet on that. Now, this one is very important. Where it says match with no zones, change that to yes. if your address is unique, you don't necessarily have to put in like a zip code or community in there. So, and for South Dakota's rural address, and you can get by with that. So I do want to match it with no zones. And once those are done, hit OK. And now your locator is built. And if you haven't done so, you need to bring up the toolbar that allows you to do geocoding. And the way to do that, you can either double click out here in the middle of nowhere, or you can right click on an open space. And you can run down and look at some of the stuff that we have on already. And you can see the geocoding is one of the things in the list. You can just click on that. And that is going to bring up this right here, your geocoding toolbar. I use this a lot, so mine is up here already, docked. And as you can see, I have Coddington Roads Locator in there already. One of the things that you can do, we'll just remove this. As it's out here, you can navigate to it in your catalog, and then just click on it and drag it into your project, and that's going to show up right here. When you just add the command bar in there, a lot of times it will default to ArcGIS World Geocoding or Military Grid. This is not what we want. We built a locator so that we could use our data set to locate addresses. This is the one. The other two, I wouldn't even have them in there if they didn't have to be by Esri. So, and now you're done. So we can type in an address. I'll type in where I'm at. And as you can see there, it found it and it flashed it. You can right click up in here and you can flash that again. I think, well, it's not letting me. I found this little thing is up here. It's driving me nuts. But scroll down, we can do a zoom to. It's going to zoom right into where our address is, sort of. F5 and refresh this. What I like to do is I like to add a point. Add a call out. And it will put a point at your location. As you can see, this is where we are. This is an empty lot. But that's how that works. One of the things we'll do quickly is let's just throw some labels up on our roads. Labels. I like to use full name. Let's change our symbol. I have a symbol in place already. And then in replacement properties, I like to put my symbols right on the line. Turn them on, hit apply, hit OK. And here we are. This looks like it geocoded correctly. This is the nuts and bolts of your addressing locator. This button right here, the one that says Address Inspector. If you click on the Address Inspector, you can scroll around and locate an address just by clicking on or near the line, and it's going to show you what the appropriate address is at that location. As you can see, 510 18th Avenue Northeast, Watertown, zip code 57201. All of these should say that. So if you're confused about what the ranges are on a street, and you want to see if they are jiving up with what you have, you can bring up your Coddington parcels, label these with the address. In this case, mine's property A. I'll just change the symbol to make them pop a little bit here as well. White halo, hit OK. I'll label these. I like to change my placement properties to only place them inside. And hit OK. And this is going to start labeling our addressing. You can see that the address is 1724 Street Northeast. If I click on it, that shows up correctly as well. 1800. You can see that, well, here, 1800 5th Street. This is something when you get in around the corners, you really have to watch. See, there's 1800 5th Street. You can see the addresses aren't wonderful, but they're showing up on the right side of the road. This is 1806. 1805 is they're off a little bit regarding the actual location, but now that's because they're using 0 and 1 at the ends. But the odds are on the west side of the road, evens are on the right. This is one of the things that we look for when we're doing this. That's how you make a address locator and put it to use. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, or feel free to send me large amounts of American dollars.